I wonder what music I'm gonna play.
You're funny. It's recording.
I know. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the ParkStop podcast. My name is Alicia Stella, and with me today is my guest co-host, Ian.
Hey, what's up, guys?
On the podcast, we're going to talk about theme park news and rumors from around the world, but mostly Orlando, because that's where I live.
That's where I want to live.
So we're going to get right into it and talk about some recent news around the parks.
There's a lot going on I've heard about. So, I mean, there's tons of rumors flying around and all kinds of people going bye-bye and things going bye-bye.
There seems to be a lot of budget cuts around the Orlando parks right now. And it is that time of year, I guess, when the quarter rolls over and they try to save as much money as they can. But yeah, a little more than normal.
Yeah, the fiscal year's ending, right? So they got to make all their numbers.
Exactly. That's the financial word for it, fiscal year. Yeah, I think the one that a lot of people have been talking about, it's unfortunate, is the longtime citizens of Hollywood at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
People have been working there maybe more than a decade.
Yeah, I'm always getting there early and end up leaving kind of late. I don't usually run into them a lot, but I was harangued by the officer once when I was a child, and I was not very happy about that then either, even though he was a fake officer.
He's my favorite one, too, because he would always talk to the camera when I walked by with the video camera. Yeah, it added, those characters add a lot of life to the park that I think with so little to do, for those of you who don't know, that they would set up little shows. One of them was like a movie star, one was the officer, one would be like a director, and they would interact with the guests and drive around little cars.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Two of the girls would actually go and sit at the bench at the Tower of Terror and pretend they're ghosts sometimes. Like just little fun things that add to your experience. And I guess to save money, they were let go, and it's really sad. And I don't know how much money they're actually saving. I did want to bring this up. This is the first year they've done resort parking fees at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I have never stayed at the resorts. I've been going for so long that we actually have an off-site timeshare, but I still think that well, I mean, this is something that's echoed by a lot of people. I really think that their nickel and diming is going to end up really frustrating people, and it just seems to be more and more of that. And
yeah,
I mean, Universal raises prices of stuff on their side of the world down there in Florida, but it doesn't seem to be as bad.
Yeah, well, people have always said, like, well, the thing about Universal is you got to pay the $20 parking fee every night because the Lowe's hotels charge you parking, and that's why Disney's better. And now you have to pay parking at Disney too, and they're making extra millions and millions of dollars, but not enough apparently to keep some of the entertainment on hand. Or the shaman actors from the Rivers of Light show. There's only 4 actors in that show. Yeah. And they add a little bit of life to what would otherwise be kind of a dull program. No offense. But they let them go. And I think the logic was, well, whenever there's lightning in the area, they don't put the shamans on the boats. So if we can do the show without shamans when there's lightning, we can do the show without shamans forever.
Yeah. Well, all right. So a while ago, I used to listen or read this guy, Kevin Yee, who used to be from, I think he was in Disneyland as a cast member. And then I think he's in Orlando now. He used to have this whole running article called Declining by Degrees. And it was all about Disney and things they would chintz on, like paint chipping or light bulbs being out, things that would never happen in the past, but seems to be more and more prevalent. And getting rid of small touches seems to be that kind of idea, in my opinion. And the Imagineers and Walt himself, even back in the day, even though I don't really like the what would Walt do game because it's impossible to know, but I mean, all these small touches are what makes things feel so immersive and so far away from reality and makes things so fun. I mean, 4 shamans on some boats, probably not as cool as Streetmosphere, but it's better than just looking at some floats. You know what I mean? It adds life to the parks in general. So
the food price is going up is what's getting me too, because before I would cover the theme parks, I'd always hear like, oh, ticket prices are going up and this is going up. But when the when a 20-ounce soda is $4.50,
Yeah, it's
you
ridiculous.
start to pay a little more attention.
Yeah,
Like,
water's going to be like $10 by the end of the
yeah,
year.
I mean, a Mickey pretzel is $7 instead of $6, but it was also $5 a year ago, and it was $4.50 a couple years ago. And it's like if they continue every single year raising prices on this, and they do it so that people are like, well, now the Disney dining plan is so much like a better value because this is a snack credit or this is that, and it's like, well, I'm not going to pay hundreds of dollars for the Disney dining plan just to make buying a soda worth it.
Yeah, I know. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's also by raising the prices and then getting people to do the dining plan, which I kind of heard rumors that might actually be going away slowly too. But even that, I don't know if that's true. Just some things I've heard in, like kind of in the wind. But I mean, it's just another way to get you to stay on property and to make sure they have your money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's guaranteed you're gonna eat meals there.
yeah. So it makes sense for them to offer something like that. I mean, if you're gonna get a snack and use one of those credits instead of paying $5 for basically $5 for a soda now, like it's $7 for a pretzel. That's ridiculous. And I love the parks. And then to see all this happen, and it brings me back to the it's kind of like we were talking about before. I use a lot of Apple stuff, and that's kind of like their game. They try to like boutique stuff and they make it all super expensive and blah blah blah, and they can charge a lot even if they only have a few people following because they'll still make their money. It seems to be the direction Disney's going in lately.
Well, everyone knows Diet Coke tastes better when you're paying $5 for it.
Oh yeah, especially in the Magic Kingdom, $5.
And speaking of restaurants, Pizza Rizzo. Pizza Rizzo is going seasonal, which Stitch's Great Escape went seasonal a year ago, and we know how that ended up.
Yes.
This is a restaurant that technically opened less than 2 years ago.
Yep, and it's already getting a death knell sound.
It saddens me because yes, it's terrible pizza. It's barely food, but I really like the theming in there. I liked the Muppets like overlay. It used to be Pizza Planet. They ripped out all the video games, but it is quiet, and I think that's part of the reason I like it is there's no one in there. But if there's no one in there, I kind of understand why they're going to close it.
Wait,
that's the main selling point is there's no one in there.
We have to back up. Can somebody please explain to me why Disney cannot do pizza or even, for the most part, decent Italian food? They have restaurants from outside people in their parks that do a good job, but then
the
Disney
Patina people do a good job.
Yeah,
Blaze Pizza does a good job,
and Disney shows up with like Elio's or something. It's
well,
so wrong.
I stayed recently at the Coronado Springs, and if you order the room service pizza, it's the Pizza Rizzo pizza. It's the same Pizza Fari little personal pan pizzas, but it's not done in a pizza oven, so it's even worse.
Yeah,
it's like microwaved.
And I admit it, I'm from Connecticut, and we have awesome pizza here, and I'm a bit of a pizza snob now, so I typically avoid it. But I mean, to have something so cool like Muppet themed Pizzeria, if I could speak, Pizza Rizzo, and then kind of waste it with not so great food, and I mean, considering if you think back to what Mama Melrose's was supposed to be. The opportunity that was missed. As much I even like Mama Melrose. It's not the best thing ever, but I do like it in there. But Pizza Rizzo could have been something amazing that would have brought people in.
What their original plans in the 80s was to have the rats actually bring you the pizza.
Yes, so cool. So
and
cool.
Then that got like shortened to well, you can see the rats scurrying about on the like the upper part of the wall, like they're running around and they go in and out of doors and stuff. If they had done something like that, where it's kind of like you have to go in there to see this, like the animatronic Muppets, that would be pretty cool. And I think maybe people would actually go in, but it's so lightly themed that it just kind of looks like a New York pizzeria.
Yeah, it's just an overlay. I think there is some. I think there is a bit of evidence left over in Mama Melrose's of what it's supposed to be, if I remember right. But if they had just carried that over to Pizza Rizzo with Muppets theme, that would have been so awesome. I would have camped out there all day.
The Swedish chef is supposed to come out every once in a while,
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, I think that if it was like a Chuck E. Cheese with Muppets, people would actually be in there eating the bad pizza.
There is no reason or excuse for Disney to make crappy pizza, bad pizza, whatever. There's just no excuse. It's just being cheap and lazy. That's all it is.
So, getting back to the cost cutting, Jack Sparrow's pirate training ended in the Magic Kingdom, but maybe it was time for that to go away anyway. I think the pirate thing has kind of died down a bit. Although he's still meet and greeting out there, so they might
Uh,
not have the show anymore, but at least they still have Jack Sparrow.
yeah, I like the Pirates movies for the most part, but I think that whole thing is getting a little long in the tooth there.
And the other big thing that's closing is Rafiki's Planet Watch, which
Yeah.
it was reported it was going seasonal, then it was reported that it was closing forever. Now it's going to be reopening in the spring of next year.
Yeah, that set off a little bit of a rumor stream. I heard quite a few things really quickly too.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what you heard. I heard Wakanda was one hope, and I heard Zootopia was another hope, and that was about it. Those were the two things.
Well, I think I heard Zootopia was a rumor a while ago, like right when the movie came out. And I think the rumor started because they added a little show to the conservation station there
Yeah,
that was Zootopia related. So everyone's like, "Ooh, that'd be a great thing to retheme the whole area to." And um, as far as Wakanda goes, I mean, there's been rumors like there should be a Wakanda taking over Wonders of Life pavilion for Technology Fair. Wakanda should get its own pavilion and World Showcase, even though it's not a real country. And Planet Watch is closing. It should be Wakanda because it's in Africa. But I'm pretty sure Universal has the theme park rights for Black Panther in Orlando.
he is on a mural, I think, inside a Cap's diner.
Yeah, and that's about as well. And when they did at California Adventure, they did a meet and greet with Black Panther and the lots of other characters, and they did not do it at Hollywood Studios. They did Doctor Strange, they did Guardians of the Galaxy, they did not do Black Panther.
So sad because
So
even though it doesn't make any sense, I was kind of happy at the thought of Wakanda showing up at Epcot. I know
I
it's
think,
not a real place, but I think it would have been fun there.
well, if it took over Wonders of Life, at least it would be next door to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it'd be in Future World where things are fictional, so that'd be okay.
Well, yeah, and they have high technology, so kind of
Exactly.
fits. Yeah. I would have
Yeah.
been happy to see it there just for something else. It's my favorite park, and it's been struggling for years.
But I think Rafiki's Planet Watch may very well just be closing to save some money, and they don't want to admit it's going seasonal, so it's down for a lengthy rehab, and I doubt anything will really change. Although the train itself apparently has been breaking down a lot, so this might just be related to fixing the trains.
Yeah, I want to hope that they would want to do something like that. But getting back to what we were saying before, like the declining my degree idea, that I don't know. And the only other thing I can think is like train breaking down, less people. I hear they're still going to use the facility for, the veterinary services. So I'm not sure how much money it's actually going to be saving in the long run, but they're probably nickel and diming everything just so they can show everybody they hit their target when it comes
Yeah.
to the fiscal year. But it's, I get it. It's business, but it doesn't make it any less slightly gross.
Hey, and I saw a little bit of work going on. I included in the video. There's a little bit of land clearing and some survey markers and trees were marked. So, they might be doing a little bit of construction. And maybe like I put in my video, they're building a whole new Jungle Cruise ride or something behind Asia because it butts up right against the Rafiki's Planet Watch where the train stops. And they might just need to close it for access reasons for construction. Who knows?
Yeah, Jungle Book, right? You did what
That's
I did.
I said Jungle Cruise.
Yes, you did. Just like I did.
I'll edit that out so I sound smarter. No, it's Jungle Book, but and that probably is going to Epcot anyway. So who knows if Animal Kingdom will ever get anything new for a decade or two.
I watched that video, and after seeing the ride system and everything they're thinking about using, I am actually excited for that. Before I was like, it'll be fun, something new, but now I want to see something like use that ride system here. It looks
It's
amazing.
really cool. Yeah, it's the first Disney boat ride that can like tilt left or right or go backwards, control speed. Normally they use the water flow to control the speed, so you can't time the show scenes perfectly, which is the biggest problem with Frozen. So with being able to actually tether the boat to a track, It can control the speed of everything better, and plus it can go fast, it can go
So
backwards.
cool. So cool.
So yeah, I'm actually hoping they really do that ride, even if it's at Epcot. And you know what? Epcot, land of boat rides and screens, it could use another boat ride. Why not? Sure. Why not a fourth boat ride or
And it's
whatever?
Rhodey, and Rhodey is awesome. If he gets his way, it's almost always awesome.
Yeah, I think he's fighting for. I like to believe he's fighting for putting that in Animal Kingdom because it would fit in so well.
He's probably fighting for that. That's like his baby. That park is like his thing. So, I mean, and if anybody follows him on Instagram, that he's in Mongolia, I think, still right now, isn't he?
Yeah, I keep seeing him. He's definitely in Asia-related places, which would be perfect for researching for a Jungle Book ride.
Ironically
Hmm.
enough.
So speaking of cost cutting, over at Universal, the eighth voyage of Sinbad closed, and everyone's like, "Oh, what are they going to build in place of the eighth voyage of Sinbad?" Nothing. They're going to build nothing. They're just closing it down to save money.
Oh,
I
so much.
think.
Well, and on their defense, they are about to embark on a whole entire park. So it's not one land. So I mean, saving some money for them makes sense. I don't even, how popular was that show at the end there? I didn't.
It was the least popular in that park and the second least popular out of both parks.
What's
Only
the
Barney gets less people, I believe.
poor
But
Barney?
but the guest satisfaction surveys for Barney are very high. So the people who see Barney like it. The people who see the eighth voyage of Sinbad don't. So it was kind of an easy decision there. And I think a lot of they have the new stunt show opening replacing Terminator 2.
Yep.
Born Jason Bourne stunt show, I assume.
Treadstone. I think it's more loosely based on the TV show and make more sense because it's coming out now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're doing a series on Treadstone, which is, the whole thing behind the Bourne show, the Bourne movies.
I'm not familiar. I only saw the first movie.
They're fun. They're all right. I enjoyed the first and the second was pretty good. The third one wasn't bad. I mean, they're not horrible movies, but I don't know anybody that's clamoring for a Bourne attraction of
Well,
any sort.
I think some of the actors or all the actors were offered other jobs around the resort, and including that one. And
That's cool.
And it's going to have stunts involved. So I think that's part of the reason was, well, we're about to start training and doing rehearsals for the new show. Let's get all of you over there that want to go over there. That way we can close this down instead of hiring new people. And some of them stayed. Some of them, I think, went to other jobs at Disney. Sadly, I think some of them were the Citizens of Hollywood as one of their other jobs.
That sucks.
So yeah, they might have gotten, they lost both of their because they have contracts, like 6-month contracts or whatever, and they're only available. And then when that's up, they bid for other contracts at different places. One of them, I think, works as the Wolverine at Islands of Adventure for meet and greets.
Oh, that sounds horrible. I bet
might
nobody likes him. What? So I'm just curious if they do reopen something there, or open something new there. What do you think should go there? Like, what kind of attraction? Like, what do you think the area needs?
I've been hoping for How to Train Your Dragon because I think it fits the aesthetic well enough that they could keep some of the rock work up.
Yep.
And it's kind of it's already an island. The island of Berk is an island, so that fits. And they bought DreamWorks and they haven't really done much but meet and greets with it. So I would love to see that. But the rumor seems to be The Legend of Zelda taking over that entire land as part of bringing Nintendo to all of the Orlando parks. Super Nintendo World, the first phase in the new park that hasn't been announced yet. Maybe Pokemon taking over Kid Zone and maybe Zelda taking over Lost Continent.
That'd be pretty cool. I can see that fitting. Part of me, mostly because I have a soft spot for the kind of stuff that area is based on. I would wish that they would keep it what it is and keep it more away from IP, just to have a little section, but everything is IP heavy. So, I mean,
it's been dying the slow death since it opened.
I know. And I'm a weirdo. I like all that Merlin and sword and sorcery stuff. So,
well, I was going to say the best part was Merlinwood, and that was the first to go when it was turned into Hogsmeade.
Yeah, that was.
And then now this is maybe the second best part, and with the bazaar, and that's going to go away. Other rumors say it could be part of Potter. Um, I know I've heard that that just that smaller area would turn into an extension of Hogsmeade with maybe a kiddie ride or something. I don't see that happening because that rumor really was started before Diagon opened, and now that they have Diagon, they have a lot more Potter than they don't need the space. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. And they're probably I would think they would do Fantastic Beasts in the new park that they're gonna
Yeah.
build.
I've actually never heard that as a rumor. I just started it because it seems logical.
Yeah, that's what I've never even heard anything either. It just seems logical to me too. Like leave that stuff, leave those two that are done, and then keep expanding. A new park. But the newer movies are coming. There's supposed to be like 5, right? So
Yeah, and they take place in different places around the world, so it could be cool to have a ride that kind of visits a lot of the different scenery.
that would be amazing. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, they like teleport from place to place, so why not just have a ride that takes you to all the ministries of magics or whatever they call them in each
Oh,
country.
so good. So
Um,
good.
Another cost-cutting thing that I saw, I've been following the Jurassic Park coaster. They're making another coaster. The Harry Potter coaster isn't even done yet, and they're building another coaster.
That's good.
But I've been heard it's been delayed, maybe up to a year. And there was even permits filed for demolition, but the demolition of the Triceratops Trail hasn't started yet. And I think that's related to saving money and just spreading out the construction.
Do you think the flyers are going to stay? Are they going to work around that and keep those?
Yeah, I think they just renovated them big time, so they're good for another decade or so.
Nice, nice. I don't pay attention to them. I've never. You have to have a child, which I do not have, to go on it. So
Yeah, so you have to like borrow a friend's kid.
yeah, can I borrow your? Can I rent your kid, lady? I just want to go on the ride.
I did it once. I did. I happened to be visiting with a friend, and I'm like, yeah, I know you're her mother, but can I go on the ride with her? Because I just really need to. They have special events sometimes for pass holders where they let you ride.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, some friends of mine are about to have a kid, so I guess the kid's gonna go on 3 or 4 times in
and
a
it's a
row.
small window of time where they're the right height. So you got to make sure to get it before they get too tall.
I'll make sure. I'll make sure we all go on a trip, and then the kid's gonna go 3 or 4 times in a row. Probably hate it by the time we're done.
Yeah. So no, that seems safe. And I'll have some more information on the Jurassic Park coaster, but it looks like it's going to be very, very fast. I can say
Ooh,
that.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope it goes over the lagoon a little bit, and they do something with the edge of the lagoon with dinosaurs or something. I really
Yeah, I
would
don't
like
know.
to see
I
that.
don't. Yeah, I don't know about dinosaurs, but it's definitely going to go in front of the visitors, the Discovery Center. Excuse
That's
me.
awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll get on that quick.
So the main topic, though, we wanted to talk about today was the Harry Potter coaster, which is still unnamed. But Pottermore recently revealed a poster with a little bit of concept art on it and a short write-up.
A magical new adventure is coming in 2019. For the first time ever, fly far beyond the grounds of Hogwarts Castle on a thrilling roller coaster ride that plunges into the paths of some of the wizarding world's rarest magical creatures. Universal's most highly themed coaster takes off in 2019, only at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Hogsmeade at Universal Orlando Resort.
Ooh, I got chills. So
Yeah, so good.
what's interesting, they don't mention Islands of Adventure. So they never like to mention the name of the park.
I know, and that gave them trouble when they first opened Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, I want to go to this Universal Escape. How do I get to the escape?
Exactly. Which is a shame, and I don't know about anybody else, but I go to the I can imagine you might do this, but I go to the park so often that it all is like a big blob. So I know where Hogsmeade is, but I don't sometimes, if you know what I mean, because it's one big park to me when I go. I try to get it. I try to do both parks over 2 days, but I hop between them. So
Yeah, and with the train, it just makes it so easy. So they kind of like, maybe that's why they say Universal Orlando. It's kind of like one blob park now.
yeah, I mean, I treat it as one big park, and I just go twice, but I always get a park hopper, so that doesn't really help me separate them in my head. But this coaster, though, looks awesome. From everything you've posted and the few things I've seen, I am stoked for this thing. This thing seems to do everything but go upside down for the most part.
Yeah,
So
pretty much. Yeah.
you know,
It's weird to me they didn't say the name of the coaster. I was expecting because it was kind of a non-announcement. It was more like just letting the general public know that a new coaster is coming. I'm surprised there was an image at all.
I know. They're like, in case you didn't catch all the photos coming out of everywhere,
Yeah.
this actually is happening. Yeah. I don't know. A name would be good. I can't even begin to think of, but if I think if they do something with Forbidden Forest in the title, it's going to get even more confusing with Forbidden
Yeah.
Journey.
You
So
can't say forbidden. They've already ruined that. So, maybe magical creatures, it probably gets gonna have Hagrid in it, so Hagrid's care of magic no, that's boring.
I'm going with Hagrid's Forest Friend Roundup. That's my favorite.
Forest Friend Roundup. That's so adorable. It's like a Disney ride. I like
I
it.
know. I think it's funny. So
Yeah. And but it is interesting in the write-up, trying to dissect it and look into it. It says um it fly far beyond the grounds of Hogwarts. Like I've been saying it's on the edge of the Hogwarts castle, but if it's far beyond, like maybe we're going into a part of the forest that's never been explored before.
could be. And there's already so many things to dip into in the forest with like the creatures that we've already seen. So
I mean, I'm thinking no spiders because we had that in Forbidden Journey. I'm thinking no Whomping Willow because we had that in Forbidden Journey. I'm thinking like there's Cornish pixies on the poster, and
yeah,
there's like this ruins, these like this giant structure they're building, and the coaster goes through 5 different times. It's not ever been in the stories. It's not in the books. It's not in the movies. So I'm thinking maybe they're kind of adding a new story to the canon of Harry Potter.
that'd be cool. I'm wondering what else is going to be in there. Like, are we going to see centaurs? Are we going to see, what are we going to see in there? I mean,
Now there are centaurs on the Hogwarts Express.
yeah, but they're not in the forest with us, like physically. It's a
No,
screen.
no, it's just a screen. Yeah, it's not that great of CG either.
No, those things need to be updated a little bit, even though they're still awesome. I still enjoy them, but
The same company that did that did the Fast and Furious ride.
well, let's not.
CG.
We don't discuss that, right?
uh,
Nope, that doesn't exist.
no, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So this is the thing I am excited about, considering as much as I loved Dueling Dragons when it was first opened as Dueling Dragons,
Mhm.
my complaint has always been that the queue was so richly and thickly themed, and then you go on the coaster and there's just trees.
Barely even trees. It was
Yeah.
more like a drainage pond and dirt.
Yeah. I was always so let down by it. I was like, this is going to be amazing. And then you get on the ride and it's just like, oh, okay, there's nothing out here and there's breaks where I can look around. So what
Yeah,
happened?
that's
What
true.
happened?
They
So,
didn't even fully theme the walls of the castle.
nope.
Like the bottom half is corrugated metal, and then as you get higher up, there's the turrets. So, yeah, no, that is a. It's almost like they ran out of money after doing the queue.
Yeah. I mean, so that excites me that they're actually going to do the whole area up, even though it's going to be
Yeah,
outside. I'm happy to hear that because that was always a serious bummer. Like walking through all the like armor and everything else was so cool. And then
hundreds of skulls and that little
so
dragon
cool.
skeleton, and yeah, that was a great queue. But the ride, as exciting as it was just a thrill ride. It was kind of like a Six Flags type thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, as soon as you got onto the ride, it was a fun ride. It was a really good ride. But as far as the breaks where you could look around, there's just nothing to see. Like,
Even Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa has better theming, and you could see the parking lot for half of it.
yeah, that's shameful. That shouldn't happen at Universal.
But no, I think this is more like not the ride system or anything, but I compare it to Thunder Mountain, where it's an outside coaster and it has a little bit of indoor scenes, but the outside is so well themed that it may as well be an indoor coaster. There's the little flooded town on Thunder Mountain,
Yep.
and of course the mountain itself, and like everything you see on that ride is so well themed. Even seeing Tom Sawyer Island across the water is themed. There's nothing you don't see that doesn't match. You
Yeah.
can't see the outside world at all. And I think Universal's never really done that. They've done inside coasters that are really themed, and they've done outside coasters that are lightly themed, like the Hulk. You go out and you see the whole park, and even the back half where they have a chance to theme it, it's just
Yep.
desert rocks now. There's nothing really back there.
Yep.
So to see something like this where and it's got even more theming. When I did the video, I didn't know they were gonna build this giant ruins thing. I thought maybe just a little covered bridge or something, when I saw the footers, but it is just massive. These ruins are huge, and the track goes through it like 5 times.
I'm having a thought now, and I can't remember exactly, but what happened to didn't Hagrid have a baby dragon egg? What happened to that thing? Because I'm wondering if the ruins are going to be like, I wonder if it's going to be like their way of throwing back with a dragon out there or something.
I really don't think there's gonna be a dragon here. Although maybe in the queue, because I
Yeah,
feel like
maybe.
Dragon Challenge, Dueling Dragons, there needs to be something like to pay its respects. So I'm hoping there's something in the queue. But as far as the ride goes, I don't think there's anything dragony. And about the ruins, one person's theory is that Muggles see Hogwarts Castle as an old ruined castle that's ancient and decrepit.
That's an interesting thought.
So, and it does kind of have the same architectural style as like it looks like the Great Hall almost, but old and ancient and decrepit and ruined. So it's a
That's
possibility. But then again, when in the story of Hogsmeade, we're allowed to see Hogwarts. We're allowed to, it's Muggle Day at Hogwarts Castle,
yeah,
so we're getting a tour and everything. So it'd be weird that all of a sudden now we can't see it.
yeah, especially so close, relatively speaking.
Yeah, yeah, on the ride, you might be able to catch a glimpse of the real castle in the background at least one part. So,
I was gonna say I'm looking forward to like what seems to be somewhat in-ground runs on the train on the tracks.
what do you mean?
Like
I mean,
sort of either really low to the
mm.
ground, some of those kind of things, or some that are like the cheetah run looking coaster where they're kind of
Oh
almost dug
yeah,
out, like stuff like that. And seeing something like that themed outside would be really, really kind of cool, I think. Something
yeah.
feeling really close and tight and really low.
I think most of the ride takes place close to the ground. The new aerial photography that Bio Reconstruct on Twitter just posted the other day, you could see they've actually buried most of the supports all the way up to the track. So the whole, like a lot of the ride's going to be at ground level.
Oh, it's so
So,
cool.
like a lot more than I thought even. And parts where it's not at ground level, you'll be going through bridges. So you'll always be kind of close to something that's themed and near the track.
Yeah, I like
You're always
that.
on a surface. There's only one part there's only one part where you really fly into the air and it like launches you right through the ruins, like through the stained glass window of the ruins, and then come back down to the ground. So that one part's going to be pretty thrilling, and you launch like straight up into the air, and it's like almost like you're flying for this moment, but then for the rest of the ride, you're all ground level.
So stoked. That sounds really fun to me and different, like different than the two major parks typically have for the most part.
Well, speaking of what the other rides have, there's probably going to be no screens on this ride.
Ah, going the opposite extreme from all the complaining, huh?
Yeah, and well, it's funny because people have complained about screens. They always put a Z on it, like, why are there so many screens? And now that they're building this coaster and they're going to build a Jurassic Park coaster right after this one, people are like, what's with all the coasters with a Z? There's too many coasters.
How
Um,
dare you make me have fun?
but no, I think I've heard one screen for the entire thing, and it's probably a Musion effect in the queue, maybe for a pre-show or just in the queue while you're waiting.
Oh, that would make
So
sense. That would make sense.
no actual screens on the ride. And because a lot of it takes place outside, you really can't do a screen, and even some of the buildings are like open air, so the light would kind of mess with it. So you can't really project with the sunlight.
Yeah, of course. I think even at least with Kong, there's a giant animatronic at the end, and they they
Yeah.
they do hide the screens a little bit better, in my opinion. They have like the bats hanging that are audio and animatronics and stuff like that in the ride. It's a little more pieced together, even though it's
Visceral. It's a
short.
little more
I-
real.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. But
And I
I
think
mean,
that this ride it's all real. It's just I'm hearing 10 animatronics for the ride.
that's awesome. One of which
Um,
is Fluffy, right?
oh yeah,
Ah,
that's
I
gonna be the
can't
biggest
wait.
one. Um, if I have to state this is a rumor still, technically still a rumor. Um, but I've had a lot of people contact me and go like, "Oh, you're right on with that." So I have to believe that Fluffy is definitely in the ride, right in the middle of the ride.
So
Something to look
cool.
forward to. Um, and another thing too, this might be a record-breaking coaster. Even though they're touting it as a family coaster, it's gonna have a lot of exciting elements. Unlike the old-fashioned coasters that had a lift hill, this one's all launch-based, and not like the Hulk, where you have one launch and then everything is just, getting slower and slower as gravity runs out, like, as you lose momentum. This one
Hmm.
will launch you and then slow down and then launch you again and then stop and then launch you again so that they can kinda squeeze in a little bit. Not like Gringotts where it stops in every scene, but so they can squeeze in some, like, when we go to Fluffy, it's just gonna slow down. It's not
Yep.
gonna stop. It's just gonna slow down so you can see him, and then it's gonna launch you again. So we don't lose momentum, but we also don't have to climb a lift hill and, waste any time. It just gets right back into it.
Oh, good. How many did you
So
say? Six or something like that?
6 launches, 2 of them small, but 4 pretty decent sized launches. One of them really big, um, and one of them backwards.
Oh, that's fun. Wait,
So because
and
there'll be a part where you go straight up, like a 4-story, dead end that's like, you'll be on your backs, you'll be so high off the ground,
that's
and
so
then you
cool.
fall backwards. So you launch up the stick, and then you fall backwards to gravity, and while you're going backwards, you get launched backwards, so you get faster, just in
Yeah,
case you weren't going fast enough.
doesn't sound fun at all. And then is that at that ends the backwards motion ends with a drop, right? On a
Yeah,
coaster.
you swirl up. You swirl up backwards, go into this giant building, and then you drop down, and then you launch out forwards.
So awesome.
But if you imagine it in, like, real time, it's like launch up this thing straight up, 4 stories, then fall backwards due to gravity, then launch backward while you're already moving up a spiral into a building, then fall straight down, then launch forward,
Yeah.
like, all in the span of 30 seconds.
So awesome. That doesn't sound fun at all. We don't I've never done a coaster that has a drop in it like that. So,
I mean, I haven't either. There's not many. I think there's only one in the US at Gardens Williamsburg. And then the other ones that are by the same manufacturer, this ride's manufactured by Intamin.
mhm.
They did the Gringotts ride system. They do a lot of stuff in Orlando. 13 at Alton Towers in the UK and Dark Mare in Italy. Those were the same manufacturer. So if you've done that ride, the drop sequence will be similar to those rides.
Oof. Field trip. Oh
um,
man.
but also it's going to be there's 2. There's I think this is the first of its kind that has 2 drops. You're only going to do one when you're on the ride, but it's kind of like an A/B switch,
Mhm.
so that there's always one available. I think it kind of so they have more capacity on the ride. Over in Busch Gardens, Tampa, we have Cobra's Curse, and it
Mhm.
has a lift elevator for the beginning of the ride, and there's 2 of them. There's 2 sides. So that way, when one is resetting, you can always use the other one. And I think it's going to be like that, where when you go to drop, you drop. And then while the one you dropped on is raising, there's a second one where the next car can come behind you and drop. So they don't waste any time.
That's
Otherwise, you
crazy.
could fit almost twice as many people on the ride because it's always ready to drop again.
There was something similar that didn't work so well in the short-lived Hard Rock Park too. They had a Ferris wheel to lift to start you.
Really?
Yeah, so you sat in a I never went on it, but I've seen pictures of it and video, and it's like a Ferris wheel where the car for the coaster sits in it, and then when it gets to the top, you drop in.
That
But
is so weird.
yeah, I guess it didn't work too great, and that's probably why you don't see it anymore. But they did try that there.
Well, the good news with this is they've been doing it with the other coasters. The bad news is that there's never been a ride that does this many different things all at once. There's never been 6 launches with the LSM. There's never been um, a backwards section with a switch track right at a launch to a drop track that has an A/B switch. So there's a lot that can go wrong.
But see,
And
that's the cool thing is though, is it sounds like a grown adult who still is very much into their childhood going, wouldn't it be cool if we could just do this?
yeah,
And that's partly why I'm excited for the ride, because it was literally just a dude like, why don't we just do 6 launches? Because I want to do that.
well, I think it probably had a lot to do with J.K. Rowling saying, I don't want to see this track from Hogsmeade. And they're sitting there going, well, then we can't do a lift hill, or we can't have it this tall. So we're just going to have to launch it every time we need more momentum. And
Totally makes sense too that she would
so,
want that. That sounds just like her,
I
which
mean, the
is
rumor was she was always not happy with Dragon Challenge being in the background. So this is kind of like maybe her dream to replace it with a Forbidden Forest, which fits it actually fits the area. It goes right in front of the Hogwarts castle. If you look over, you're going to see, well-themed, you'll see hundreds of trees, but you're also going to see well-themed scenic things and not coaster. You'll
yep.
have to walk up to the ride or get into the queue to actually see any of the coaster bits.
That's cool. And again, just reinforcing how awesome it is to have her involved in it, even though, for lack of a better term, she's a pain in the ass, but it's a good thing that she is that way.
But yeah, no, we've gotten the best rides we've gotten at the resort have been the Harry Potter rides.
Not even the rides. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the lands, the Diagon Alley. Even if it didn't have the ride, Diagon Alley is my favorite place in both those parks.
It's amazing to walk through. It's the first time I've walked through something that legit feels like you are there.
It's so closed off from the rest of the world. When you walk out and you see Simpsons across the way, it's always so jarring. Like, is this where I've been? Thought I was in like London for the last 2 hours. This is weird.
Yeah, it's amazing to walk through that place. It's the first time that's literally, it feels so real just walking through there.
And they even accidentally got things right because it feels cold there because it's like almost like it's air conditioned because all the air is coming out of all the little buildings. So when you're walking around, it doesn't even feel like Florida. It's not even humid. It's like air conditioned all of Diagon Alley, especially Nocturne Alley because it's enclosed.
I love Nocturne Alley.
It just feels like a different world.
It's awesome. And I cannot wait for this coaster.
So just to go through a couple specific things about the coaster, in case anyone hasn't seen the other video, and I have some extra updated information. Still not sure what the queue is going to be like. I'm hoping that we see some animals in the queue, or maybe Hagrid will talk to us like that Musion effect, like I was thinking. But the load platform is going to be one of those conveyor belt type things, like the Haunted Mansion, like a moving platform.
Oh, that's cool.
Just another way to get the capacity high is that it's going to be really quick loading. I think they do it for Forbidden Journey, and that ride has like the highest throughput. And it kind of forces the team members to load fast because they have to. It's always rush, rush, rush when you get to there. And I think it's going to be like that here. But also what used to be the unload and load for one of the Dragon coasters is now just one side of it is just load. So it's twice as long as what it was before for load.
That's awesome.
So as it rolls through the load station, you can hop on, get locked in, and then go into the ride.
So now that you know that you're going to load that way, do you have any guesses on what you think the vehicle is going to be?
I think it's going to be very similar to Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, but it might look like the motorbike sidecar from Hagrid's motorbike. I don't think it's going to be seated like a motorcycle. I don't think it'll be on a bike seat on one of the seats and then in a sidecar. I think it's just going to look like it. Maybe the front car will look like a motorbike and then the rest is being pulled by it, like a train. But I don't know for sure. No one seems to know for sure. They're keeping that under wraps. But with Hagrid being a kind of the main character of the ride, I don't think we're going to see the kids at all because they're not kids anymore. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Hagrid's ride, so I think that would be the best ride vehicle to do. If it wasn't that, maybe a Thestral carriage with an extended train.
Yeah, I think actually now that you mention, I think if it was his motorbike in the front with the sidecar pulling something, that would be actually really cool.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I mean, it doesn't even have to. I mean, I ride a motorcycle, so seeing a bunch of sidecars that without anything attached might be a little weird to me at first. But I think if it was him pulling something with the bike, that would be really cool.
Yeah, and he could do like the ET, and he pops up in the middle of the ride, like he's really pulling you, and then he goes down when you see him on the ride. Like
he's a little large to hide in a basket. He really
feel like the
around him.
The Skull Island animatronics. So have an animatronic Hagrid, and then like halfway through the ride, he gets off.
It's so funny. Yeah, I do
The
have a Triumph, so I'd be okay seeing a Triumph pulling a bunch of roller coaster cars. That's cool with me.
the very first scene, though, if you look at the aerials, they've enclosed a little bit of it. It almost looks like an extension to the building, and I don't know what's going to be in there. I haven't heard any rumors or anything, so that's kind of exciting. Um, but I do know that they kind of the second scene is going to have the flying Ford Anglia,
Hmm.
the Weasley car,
Yep.
which was parked out in front of Dragon Challenge. And we also see on the Hogwarts Express, but this will be the first time like a physical, actual car will be flying around, probably on some kind of Kuka arm type deal and hidden from view, but it'll be flying around kind of towards us. And the coaster, you could see the coaster kind of banks to the left, banks to the right, banks to the left. So I imagine just like the Weasley car is always kind of wavering left and right, left and right, so will us as we're
No,
coming toward it. So it's like woo, woo, woo.
that's
Um,
awesome.
I'm starting to think that it'll be the Pixies during that scene.
That's a good
Um,
idea. That's a really good thought, actually.
'Cause, someone had mentioned something about the car being under attack, and I heard that there's gonna be 6 smaller animatronics, so I'm wondering if the 6 small animatronics is the Pixies, and they're attacking the Anglia, and that's why it's kinda wavering like it's crashing and why we're wavering.
That would be super fun.
'Cause they get into a little mischief, they're like little flying gremlins.
Yep, they do. That sounds
So
like a that sounds really like that sounds like it could be pretty accurate. And I've heard people talking about the ride vehicles. People first assumed it was going to be the Anglia, but since I saw the rumors, especially coming from you guys, from your site, that
mhm,
the Anglia was going to be on the ride, I didn't think that would make sense. So,
right. It would look
um,
like the stretch limo from Rock and Roller Coaster.
yeah, let's not do
Or
that.
an
Let's yeah, let's not do that.
No, so I think it's, and looking at the track, like, you're gonna be heading toward, the car, and it's heading toward you, being attacked maybe, and then at the last second, you veer to the right, maybe to get away. So it's almost like a game of chicken.
That's awesome. I'm really excited for this, and Uh, I'm wondering, the more I hear about this, I'm wondering if this would be a better thing to do. I think it's gonna be a better ride at night,
Oh, it's
like
gonna
in
be,
the
like, completely
evening.
different, just like Thunder Mountain
Yeah.
and other coasters like that, and Slinky Dog would be oh my god, Slinky Dog was amazing at night, I have to say. As silly as that sounds, that ride is actually really thrilling at night because you can't tell where the coaster is gonna go next.
I'm just thinking this one with with a solid lighting package too. I think it's gonna look
Oh,
awesome
yeah.
at night.
It's gonna be
So I
incredible.
really think it'll be a better ride at night.
And you won't be able to see the track because it's, like, darkly painted, so
Oh
at night, you won't know which way you're turning.
man, I'm gonna have to stay late and do it for the first time at night, I think.
It could be a completely different experience. Yeah, right after the car is the first launch, and that's gonna take you, underneath those ruins. Like, you're gonna be sandwiched in between there'll be, like, flying buttress that's a funny
Oh.
word. Flying buttresses above your head, connecting the ruins to the Q building. So, just imagine, like that part on Forbidden Journey where you're, like, going through the Quidditch, thing, and it's like, vroom, 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 vroom.
Oh, yeah, 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 like the
Imagine, like,
stands.
being through that in between these 2 giant buildings, with the flying buttresses above you, and that's the first launch. So, it's gonna come out of nowhere and send you soaring through this.
That's crazy.
And in the video, I described, that round building, one of the earlier scenes after that launch, as like a hut, and I
Mhm.
said this hut would have Hagrid in it. So people automatically assume it's Hagrid's hut, but it is like 4 times bigger than Hagrid's hut. It is more like a stable or a barn. It is a huge building, and they're building it now. Um, and I'll probably have a construction update later this week, actually, because I'm going to go check it out. But it is massive. Like I saw a photo of people doing the work on the roof, and it's even bigger than I thought when I saw it in person.
That's awesome. I would
People look like ants.
That's huge. Yeah, I don't think it would make any sense to be Hagrid's hut. There's not enough room to turn around standing still in there from what it looks like. So
Yeah.
have a coaster go through. That is a larger building than even I expected it to be for what is allegedly going in there.
Yeah, so the whole coaster train's gonna kinda curve around inside it and, just stop in there for a little scene. This is, like, one of only 2 stops on the ride, and Hagrid, like, an actual full-size animatronic Hagrid will be in there, with a monster of some sort, and everything I've heard is it's a blast-ended Scroot, which is not anything I've seen in the movies. So So I'm assuming it's in the books, or it's at least in the canon, as it's something that I think it's like a hybrid animal that he bred.
Yep.
From what I looked on, I went to Pottermore to check it out in the Wikipedia, and I think they fight each other with fire, right?
Yeah, I think it's fire.
Someone told me there's gonna be a real fire effect. I don't know if that's true. I mean, this hut is all wood. It is actually made of real wood, so I don't know if they're gonna be setting off fire effects inside of it, but something does, like, startle it, or it goes off, and it may be a lighting effect or a sound or a heat feeling special effect or something, and it's gonna shoot us out. It's possible after it shoots us out, there'll be, like, a fire effect outside. That would be pretty cool. But that goes into that second launch, which launches you right through the stained glass window of the ruins. And that's gonna be even bigger than the first launch.
Okay, so now I kind of want it to shoot you out, but have the fire chase behind you, like
Wouldn't
kinda
that be
blast
cool?
out behind you. That's what I
That
want to happen now.
I'm expecting at least a heat, a special effect like they do on some rides.
Because that would be awesome to kind of be running away from to get launched into the ruins, like the
Mhm.
thing that looks like the Great Hall kind of area. That'd be
Yeah.
fun if it just like burst out behind you, chasing you out of the building.
Yeah, if they had, like, 2 of them, like, one inside and then, like the Carnotaurus on Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom where they do that running effect,
Oh,
that would be really cool.
so good.
Um, but it's, that part's crazy though, because like, it's still at this point all been ground level. Like you've only been ground level, and then all of a sudden, for the first time, you're launching straight up like 3 or 4 stories into the air, and through this building, and then back down to the ground and do a near figure eight, go under the ruins, and there's a trench. This part you'll actually be below the ground as you go through. I'm not even looking at the map, but the third launch goes through a trench, and then you do like a big circle and you slow down, and that's where Fluffy is. This is kind of the midpoint of the ride, and Fluffy is going to be full scale giant animatronic. I think only one of his heads is going to move because you're only going to see him for 10 seconds, but he'll definitely be barking at you.
Now I'm excited for this part because I am a dog person and Fluffy is awesome. And beyond that, I like the giant animatronics. Confrontation, Kong Skull Island, if I could speak. Those are awesome. So I'm looking forward to see this thing and how much it actually moves. And hopefully we don't get Disco Fluffy down the road.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's going to move too much because it's going to be technically exposed to the elements. Have you been on the Flight of the Hippogriff?
Not since before it was Flight of the Hippogriff.
Oh, flying unicorn.
Yep.
The Flight of the Hippogriff, when you do the launch, not the launch, when you do the lift hill, there's a hippogriff animatronic, and it's sitting in a nest, and it's outside, and it kind of just nods, it nods to everyone because you're supposed to nod at it.
Yeah.
I think the same company that made that is doing the Fluffy animatronic. So I don't expect too much motion, but at the same time, it will be massive. I mean, we're talking, a 20-something foot tall dog with 3 heads. So literally just standing there will be intimidating enough. But then if it's blinking and bobbing its head or barking at you, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. It sounds really good. And this is only halfway, so this coaster seems pretty long for a coaster or a ride in general.
It takes up this whole plot that used to be these 2 giant steel coasters. It actually takes up more room than Dueling Dragons used to take up, because they've extended it all the way out to the sound barriers, and even the last ride didn't go that far out.
It's crazy. I'm so happy.
People were thinking when they closed it, they were like, well, we have so much space here. Are they going to put a new ride and like more stores for Hogsmeade? Are they going to put the Shrieking Shack? There's going to be so much room. But this coaster is so big and so spread out. There's actually no room for anything. I mean, it is the stable hut is right up against the queue for the Hogwarts train station, the Hogwarts Express. Like, it's right against the train station queue.
Wow.
So it is as far as it could be. And then the end of the ride, the drop track part is butted up against the train station itself behind the train. Like, they didn't waste a millimeter on this.
So good.
So after
good.
Fluffy, you turn left, you go into a cave. I think there's going to be a ton of rock work back here, which is going to be really tall. So like when you look at it from Hogsmeade, you'll see it's kind of like different layers as like trees in the foreground, the ruins, and then giant rock work in the background. So it kind of gives a three-dimensional going on forever effect. I think that alone, like, even if I never went on this ride, it's going to make Hogsmeade so much more beautiful.
Oh,
So we
so
go
good.
into the cave and we get launched straight up like 4 stories to the point where we're at like almost a 90-degree angle on this track. And if you've seen pictures of this part of the ride, like people were like, "Oh my God, that's going to be a crazy drop." And it's like, well, you go up that first and then you drop down it backwards. So, and I'm pretty sure they haven't started yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the dark. I'm pretty sure they're going to put a cave around it so you won't see the track. You won't know you're going to go up that high. It's going to be completely hidden away from view. So
Which
it'll
will
be
only,
surprise.
it'll only make it better.
Yeah.
Only make it better.
So then you fall backwards, the track switch behind you, so you keep going backwards. We talked about this earlier where you get launched backwards, go up a spiral. And then for the drop track scene, I've been saying it was the devil's snare, where like in the film, it wraps around you and you have to like relax or use light to get out of it.
Yep.
Just the other day, in one of the aerial photographs, you could see a test sample of what looks like crazy long vines that are painted oily black. So I think that's as much confirmation as I'm going to get now. That is definitely the devil's snare in there. Because they shouldn't have left that outside, because, you know, we got the helicopters flying around taking pictures and I could clearly see those are vines. So now I'm super excited about that, because if you're going to do a drop track, like that scene in the movie where Hermione uses light to make the things let go, and then he falls straight down, like that's perfect.
Now the question is, who is going to be in there to cast the light? Because the drop would not be, from what I remember, it's slow if you relax, but the light kind of makes it shudder away. So yeah, I'm wondering what is going to be the source of the light.
I wonder, Hagrid's not supposed to do magic, but he could.
He could. He does, even though he's not supposed to.
So that would be my guess, but I don't think we'll see him. I think we're just going to see like a really bright light after being in pitch black darkness, which would be great to see all the scenery too. So it'll illuminate the walls, which you can see in the photographs. I'll include a link to it with this podcast, but you can see the backside of all the scenery, and it's definitely like some rock work, some moss, and the oily black vines.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what else is going to be in there now. Now that's really got me wondering, because there's got to be some kind of light to make the drop work as quickly as it seems to be from what I've seen in those other coasters do.
Yeah, I think just a really powerful light flash. There would be, and you know, an audio cue cool. From whoever's saving us. Maybe it'll be someone else.
Maybe.
So then drop, and then we launch out forward. This is probably the biggest launch because it's got to finish the ride off and take us up over the giant cave that we went through earlier, or around it. And then we go past through the ruins again, as if we didn't pass through the ruins enough. We passed through the center of the ruins this time. And if they time it just right, you'll be able to look up and see the launch from earlier of a car going over your head.
Ooh, no, that's fun.
Like as you're going through, because there'll be so many cars on the track at the same time, I'm sure you'll see one at least starting or ending, launching out of that hut straight up over the track here in the center of the ruins. And there'll be one going under you, launching to the hut. So at any given moment, that thing is kind of like the central hub of the whole ride. So it could be pretty exciting no matter what time you go through it. And then the very, very end, there's still one more animatronic, and I don't know what it is, but I got my fingers crossed that it's a unicorn, because I think that's pretty cool. It could be a centaur. It could be, well, we've seen pretty much everything else. So, and we've never even seen a live unicorn in the movies. I would just love to see that. And it would kind of be a nice nod to the original Merlin would.
It would be. And it also maybe be, if we're sent off on this thing chasing, if we are in fact chasing something that Hagrid lets loose, because, you know, he never does that. It could be
the blast ended screwed again.
Yeah, it could be whatever's loose, like back home kind of thing. But the unicorn sounds more fun, and I like the idea of it, you know, just giving a little nudge back to what it was at one point. Yeah. Because Merlinwood was really awesome.
I like that you could still go out behind the 3 broomsticks and it still looks the same except the color of brick is different, but other than
Yeah.
that, it's almost exact the porch is still the same back there, and you can pretend you're back in time. I I would like to think that you're chasing the blast-ended Scroot, but at the same time, especially since there'll be, like, holes in the ruins already, there'll be holes in the hut already, so maybe, like, you're following behind it. But at the same time, why would there be also pixies, Fluffy, um, Devil Snare, whatever? Like, well, Devil Snare is different. It's not really an animal, but there's so many other animals that you come across. It feels like it's more like showing off different things.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, the ruins seem like it's gonna be a big part of the story, so there's gotta be something. They're gonna probably feed you something at the beginning of
Mm,
the ride.
yeah,
So I'm wondering what the that's also interesting to me because that's the whole basis of the ride is those ruins in Hagrid, and something I can't think of off the top of my head that it could be.
yeah. I
So,
think it's something new. You know.
and now I wanna know what the story is. I want it to be here already.
Another theory is that it takes place right after the Battle of Hogwarts, and the ruins is just Hogwarts Castle after it's been destroyed. And that all the animals have escaped because of the war, and we're rounding them up.
That's interesting, and I can see
It's
that, but I don't think that doesn't
it's really depressing, though.
yeah,
Hey,
that
remember the
doesn't
end of the
strike
movie when
me.
everyone dies?
That
Let's go
doesn't
round up
s
some critters.
Yeah, everybody's sad. Everybody mope through the ride to get your animals back. Yeah,
So,
I'm all
uh,
set with that.
I like the theory that it's just an entirely new setting somewhere deep in the forest that's never been talked about, and, J.K. Rowling's on a roll with coming up with entirely new story stuff, so,
Yeah,
she's writing all new movies that set up different things and backstories, and there's a play. Why not a little Forbidden Forest ride that has a new backstory?
of course, and now I'm really excited. I like all that stuff, so I'm really excited to find out what that story is and the backstory of the ruins and all that. So much to dig into if it is a whole new story, which is really enticing.
Yes, for sure, definitely. Because it would be like the anti-Gringotts. Gringotts where everything's screen-based and it's supposed to be a coaster, but it also takes place during a very definite time in the series.
Yeah,
Like, it's like it's seeing the backstory to what's happening at the end when they're trying to get the Horcrux, and they're riding the dragon, and it's really interesting to see, it's kinda like The Lion King 1.5. We get to see what Timon and Pumbaa are doing during the down moments in the movie. We get to see how the kids broke into the bank, why not?
oh.
Um, that's the weirdest comparison I've ever made.
Harry Potter, Lion King, same thing.
Same
Same thing.
thing,
Yeah.
but instead of where Disney World tends to tell the same story of the movie. Like, here's the Little Mermaid in a nutshell.
Yep.
Here's the movie.
Book report.
Universal tells a story where you're in the story. Like, here's Transformers. You got to get the Allspark from here to there, and you're riding in this new Transformer.
Mhm.
Um, and Gringotts is kind of like a mix of the two. It's here's a scene from the movie, but you're in it. So this would be really interesting because, like Forbidden Journey, where it's just our little journey, this is not just, hey, here's some stuff from the movies. This is maybe something like this is your actual adventure that
Yeah,
only you get to go on. You can't go home and watch a movie then see the same thing.
that's what I
Even
like.
sorry, even just having the blast-ended Scroot, that's an animal we've never seen.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I like there, though. Like, even though, like you were just talking about Escape from Gringotts, even though it's like a parallel story, it's something you can't see or do anywhere else, but get that story there, which is cool because the book report rides are kind of getting stale, and it
Mhm.
seems like even they've been backing away from that because the whole Avatar area is not just a rehash of the story.
Now that takes place 100
So,
years later.
yeah. So,
That's
I
a good
mean,
point.
it seems like maybe they've learned their lessons, and I think people are catching on because even some of the older ones, the book report version didn't work exactly right. Snow White you were supposed to be Snow White, and people
Yeah,
just didn't get that.
they didn't get it.
So,
They had to add more and more. Same thing with Peter Pan.
yep, yep. And so I think maybe they're learning their lessons, and they're starting to see, like, even the Star Wars Land stuff that's coming, the Millennium Falcon. You're supposed to pilot it.
Yeah.
So
And the other one is you, for some reason, infiltrating the enemy ship.
Yep.
I don't know why we're doing it, but I don't think we're qualified, but okay. I also like how Universal tells, continuations of the story. I missed the Terminator 2. I like Terminator 2 3D because it was kind of the unofficial 3rd movie, and it was a much better version of the 3rd movie. But it's like it picks up where the 2nd one, left off, and it has a satisfying conclusion. They completely destroy Skynet.
Yep. It was a good show. I mean, it was different than anything else. Had a huge span. Like that screen was enormous when it opened up all the way to all the screens in the room.
Yeah.
And I just I'm bummed to see it go, but I've seen it in some pretty sad states over the years,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get it, but honestly, there's a new Terminator movie coming out, so why not just fix it and clean it up? It's one of the better attractions they had,
Well,
but
they tried that with Genesis, but it flopped, so they actually redid the opening and everything, and I think that was kinda like their last straw. They're like, "Well, we tried, and we're not gonna keep trying every time they try to reboot this movie."
I don't even need them to keep updating it. I just want the like as far as keeping up with the current movie, just clean it
Yeah.
up. Just clean it up and make it function right. I'd be happy with that. I really the Treadstone thing I get to a point, but I really don't think anyone's asking for a Bourne
No.
show.
I think they wanted to do James Bond, but they couldn't get the rights.
But even that, I love James Bond, and even that, I'm not interested in seeing that.
Well,
I
they've done a
mean,
Wild West, stunt show, and they've
yep.
done the old, The Eighth Voyage of Sinbad stunt show. I think they some people wanted to do a spy stunt show, and they had an idea for how to do a spy stunt show, and it almost feels like the IP was an afterthought here, which is unusual for the theme park business nowadays. But so, instead of being James Bond spies, now it's, Jason Bourne spies, which so instead of, a womanizer, now it's someone who punches really fast.
But I mean, as far as those go, like they're super hard to nail. Like Indiana Jones, their stunt spectacular hangs around, but it's still fun to watch. And been watching it forever, it feels like, and I still like to go and see it. But there's not a lot of stunt shows I can say that about.
I
Some of
miss
them
the
get a
Wild West
little.
stunt show. I love the Wild West stunt show. It's gonna be hard being in this theater because it's gonna feel so enclosed. I don't know how they're
Yeah.
gonna do it.
I hope they still use something to. I mean, Terminator popping out from behind a screen and the bike and everything else coming out. I hope they do something with that because that was really cool.
I'm sure they'll do something. Maybe they'll have a mini. There's the the mini car chase, the first one. I'll just have a whole car chase on the stage in the theater. They're tiny cars.
Oh man, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Even though I'm not stoked for a Treadstone show, but I'll still go check it out.
Yeah,
At
anything new
least
is
once.
exciting. And the screen was so blurry and messed up on the Terminator show. I felt bad.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
sad to see it. I'd rather them put it out of its misery than keep it open like that.
yeah. Like I was saying, if they're not going to update the actual show, then it's not worth it. That would have been enough for me, though.
Um, the Harry Potter coaster, which still does not have a name, should be opening in we'll say the summer of 2019. It's the same company that opened Infinity Falls. They were supposed to open this summer, and they just opened last week. So you never know. Don't plan your vacations around me saying that Memorial Day should be the opening for the new Harry Potter coaster, because just because they're shooting for that doesn't mean it'll actually open at that time. But sometime next year, that new ride is going to open, and we're going to finally get the name and new information early next year. So maybe January, February, they'll actually tell us something. That's pretty exciting.
That is maybe a name for Christmas. Can we have a name?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about Christmas. They promised us early 2019, so I'm going to say February is more likely.
I just want a name at least for now.
Well, they're not doing the celebration of Harry Potter, so they don't have an excuse to announce anything in January like they normally do, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that whole thing was getting a little long in the tooth too. I think they were dragging that out a bit far.
Yeah, maybe when it comes back, stronger and better in a few years, they'll actually do something different with it.
Yeah, that'd be good. A little nostalgia. Let it sit for a little bit.
Yeah, let people miss it.
Exactly. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, let people really start to actually like the Fantastic Beasts movies so that you can play up that.
Oh, that's a very divisive movie already.
I like the creatures.
I liked it. I thought it was fun, and I mean, just to be able to go back to the magical world and like be inside of her mind again is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, the second one looks pretty good. I think they're by opening it up and bringing Hogwarts back and Dumbledore, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be fun.
I like Newt.
Yeah, I do too. I like all the main characters. All 4 of them are awesome.
I like the bakery guy. Whatever his name is. He's adorable, and I want them to build that bakery at the new park so we can buy weird creature-shaped baked goods.
Oh man, now I want that too.
Wouldn't that be cool? It sells itself, really.
It does.
It's
Totally.
a no-brainer.
Totally so.
Kowalski? I want to say Kowalski.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
Kowalski's Bakery. Open it in New York and Universal Studios Florida. Come on. You're wasting time here.
They got
Take
the
down
poster.
the empty hands. We don't need pretzels. We need Kowalski's.
They already got the poster there too for the little secret bar.
Yeah, they took that down.
They did?
I think so. Well, maybe, or I just can't find it. Maybe I'm just bad at finding it. It's supposed to be hidden, so they're doing a good job with me.
Oh man. Do you work here? Can you just tell me where this is?
And where's Kowalski's Bakery? Maybe if we all ask for it, they'll build it.
There you go. You're gonna start a petition now?
Replace half the arcade with it. We don't need that many crane machines.
No, definitely not.
All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
Awesome.
Be sure to check out the YouTube channel. It's Theme Park Stop by Alicia Stella, soon to just be Theme Park Stop. And the website is orlandoparkstop.com. Thank you so much, Ian, for joining me today.
Thank you for putting up with me.
It has been a pleasure putting up with you.
Awesome. Till next time, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.